Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Before the start of tonight's meeting, we met in executive session. We talked about some personnel matters and also some litigation issues with our zoning and so on. So wanted you guys to know about that. Before we begin with the regular general part of the meeting, we have a presentation from the Parks and Recreation Board and the Ways and Means Committee on the proposed Community Recreation Center. John, you're making that presentation? Thank you. Thank you. You can, whenever you're ready to start, please do. And this will be interesting for everybody who's sitting here waiting for something else, I promise.
Here we go. Thank you. Again, I'm John Bray with the Parks and Recreation Board, and I'm very pleased to share with you some of the progress that we've made in planning a new community center for Doylestown Township. This evening, as Ms. Lyons indicated, we'll be presenting jointly with the Ways and Means Committee. It's been a long effort. We're proud of the work that we've done so far, and we're happy to share it with you. So on the Park Board, one of the things we do is we think about who are we. Doylestown Borough has these beautiful historic neighborhoods and the iconic Victorian commercial architecture, and we have space. We have a lot of space, and we have some beautiful neighborhoods. A lot of our commercial areas are spread out and taken up by the county and by the school district. But we think that one of the things that makes us unique and that defines Doylestown Township is our park system and our bike and hike trails and the quality of life that we enjoy, in a great part because of those things that we've built here. So one of the things that we've always had in Doylestown Township, or almost always, ever since we built our park, we've had some indoor space for indoor activities. This was our space before. It was part of the maintenance garage. It was the second floor, and it had a nice community room, and it had a kitchen, had some other things in it, and we enjoyed the use of that facility for a long time. But unfortunately, the needs of our community grew, and the maintenance folks needed that space back. I think we're sorry for a long time that they'd ever given it up, but anyway, they needed it back, and so we needed a new home. And so, as part of the planning for this beautiful building, where we're enjoying excellent governance these days, was a separate building to replace the red building, the room that we had before. And this was it. It was a nice building. It had a good indoor space to pretty much just do the things that we'd always been doing, not really too much extra. But the problem was that when we went out to bid for this building and for the Parks building, it was too expensive. It was well over $3 million, and for the amount of space that we were getting and the fact that it really didn't give us any time for any opportunity for growth, we decided that it really wasn't a good idea, and our Board of Supervisors wisely chose not to build that building. So the Park and Recreation Board decided that we should reimagine our recreation building, and we believed that if we built a bigger community building, that we could better serve our community and actually plan a building that would in part pay for its own cost. We did an extensive study of 3 different buildings on at least 5 or 6 different sites throughout our park system, focusing primarily on Central Park. And after a few years really of study, we decided that a building about 12,000 square feet located along New Britain Road as part of the existing parking lot over there would be a good fit. And so we focused, along with the Ways and Means Committee, on looking at what that would do and what kind of revenue would it generate, what kind of programs could we do there. And after a lot of thought and a lot of hard work, we're here to share some of those costs with you. Our new community building is going to have enough room for all of the programs that we originally had, plus more. It will also include a full-size basketball or other activity court that we'll be able to divide into multiple sections. We may have some bleachers for spectator seating, but we'll be able to do lots of things in the new community building, as well as in addition to the things that we've always done with our indoor program spaces. And now to share some of the costs, I'll introduce my wife, Brenda, and we'll proceed from there.
Thank you, John. Hi, Brenda.
Good evening. Ways and Means Committee, although I'm standing before the board tonight, I would be totally remiss if I didn't mention Joe Delicott and Bob Selnick, because really we've been working at this for quite a while, understatement, and Bob did a lot of the work for the gym. I want to mention that Joe recently has done a lot of work on the PowerPoint, on all of the spreadsheets, but in conjunction with Karen Sweeney as the park director, coming up with the assumptions and what we could do in that area. So we're going to start talking about assumptions, things that are near and dear to accountants and spreadsheet lovers' hearts, unlike the pretty pictures that we were seeing earlier. So I'm actually going to start with the second point. Park and Rec program revenue will be enhanced, but it's going to take a while for the additional park programs to come on board. So Joe and Karen decided that we would really drop that back and assume 50% of the estimate for what we could do in year one, and 65% in year two. And there's a common theme here you're going to hear next. We have built things in, we've stepped them in, not expecting immediately, and there's going to be some costs we're going to talk about that will be different over the 3 years that we have planned. So the gymnasium space, going back to having a court area, whether it's basketball, pickleball, or a number of other uses that it can be for, the rate that we came up with is $100 per hour. It's based on information from 5 local townships, and the range was $95 to $130. Projections assume 80% capacity in year one, again, stepping up in year 2 to 90%. In year 3, hopefully, we would be at 100%. Gym usage assumptions, and you can see them stated out before you. 50 weeks, Saturday and Sunday, 10 hours on those days, you have 1,000 hours. 40 weeks, Monday through Friday, 5 hours a day, another 1,000 hours. And 40 weeks, Monday through Thursday, after hours, because or during the day, when all of those athletes and everything are in school and in other activities, we'll have other folks, residents within the community that would be able to use this building. And lastly, 10 weeks, Monday through Friday, during the summer, in the evening for summer basketball programs or, again, summer programs. We're hoping to get back to an enhanced or a larger summer program obviously during the summer, and it'd be operated by the township. We're estimating conservatively, and we've really tried to be conservative on a number of all of our numbers, that we could yield revenue of $64,000. We're also going to be putting in there the cost to run the program at 50%. That should also ramp up over the years. That is, more people would participate. Annual naming rights, advertising, banners, those type of things that you could put in the open space. Also, I think conservatively at around $12,500 a year. Expenditure assumptions. These costs are incremental over the existing Park and Rec expenditures. Existing and additional programs are projected at a 70% cost. That is, right now, when there's a program, our understanding is approximately 70% of the cost of the program cost, or what the resident pays, goes to the instructor. Something that we're going to need is a site supervisor. When there's people in there, there's going to be somebody that needs to come in, open up, supervise and be there on site, and then close up afterwards. We've chosen the amount of about $20 an hour. It includes the employer's FICA, FUTA, SUTA, all the salary-driven expenses would come in total at $20 an hour. Again, summer projects are already explained, or the summer program would be 50% of revenues. Because this is going to be some additional work and some planning, we put in a small amount, a 1 hour a week at $25 an hour for someone to help out with the programming, or an alternative to that might be a new software program. So we were trying to imagine and build in all the additional costs. Marketing. To get this program off, it's going to be expensive, and we really will need to put money in marketing. So that's included. $40,000 for first year, $10,000 for year 2, and nothing additional for year 3. And then lastly on this page, we were, during all of our meetings and conversations, this may really become very large, and so we've included a part-time position, no benefits, at $40,000 just in year 3. That's included. Some notes, some assumptions that we need to think about. Debt service does not include the soft cost. It's just an amount, an estimate for the construction. Something to keep in mind when we get to the calculations at the end. Average property assessment for the township is $40,000, and 1 mil currently equals, or excuse me, 1 mil derives about $276,500 for the township. Current millage is at 13.125, and something else that we considered but didn't try to quantify is that a portion of the marketing costs could be discounted program fees. If that happens, that will reduce revenues versus increasing expenditures. Utilities, Joe found this out and went to IOTA, and he came up with $2.10 a square foot, so we've tried to calculate what the utilities would be. And another point, because sometimes we want to provide open space or open gym time for community use, it's not included. Procedures would need to be developed if that was the wish of the Board of Supervisors. So, you see a lot of numbers in front of you. Seasonal programs, what we mean by that are the typical fall and winter and spring and summer programs. And these numbers are driven by Joe's work with Karen as we came up with what could be expected over the next 3 years. Summer camp, as I've already stated, with the increases there, and facility rentals, again, based on current experience, excuse me. So the park and rec programs, you can see increase from $236,000 to approximately $378,000 over the next 3 years. The gym rental, the piece that we don't have and what we're hoping to really offer. You can see those amounts. The Saturday, Sunday is the easiest one. I talked about it being $100 an hour, but we're expecting capacity of 80%, 90%, and then 100%. Hence those 80,000, 90,000, and 100,000. So the gym rental increases from year 1 to year 3, from $268 to $335. So the total operating revenues, about $500,000 to over $700,000 in year 3. And the non-operating revenue is simply the banners and the advertising. A number of people have commented that's probably a conservative figure, but again, we'd rather understate revenues than be overly optimistic. So altogether, total projected revenues, $516,000 up to $725,000 in year 3. Expenses, we group them the same way. Seasonal programs, and if you look back at the assumptions for the P&R programs, as well as the summer program expense, $126,000 to $202,000 in year 3. Site supervisor, that's that $20 an hour person we calculated to cover all of that time when someone's using or renting or utilizing the gym, runs from $62,000 to $77,000. Marketing of the facility, $40,000 for year 1 to let everybody know it's here, $10,000 year 2, and then down to 0 in year 3. And as I also stated, the personnel requirements, we wanted to go ahead and put in some money at the end of year 3. Of course, with any building, when you have people in it, you're going to have to clean it. You're going to have to keep it lit. And just because we knew we hadn't thought of everything, a contingency amount of $15,000 for all 3 years. So total projected expenses, $281 in year 1 or $282, and then $373,000 in year 3. So the total projected revenues, which we had discussed on an earlier slide, the expenses that were just laid out, gives an operating profit or loss before debt. And as you can see, it's between $234,890 and to the $352. But of course, this is a building that needs to be constructed. So the debt service is approximately $255,000. And that's calculated on approximately $4 million for construction cost only. Again, the soft costs have not been included. This has been fairly consistent as far as the $255,000 over about the last 9 months, gentlemen? 9 months? And I'll speak a little bit more about the market. But long and the short of it is, based on all of these assumptions, and yes, there are a lot, there are many, loss in the first year of just $20,000 all the way up to a profit in year 3 of about $100,000. So it's simply a matter of math to figure out what the pro forma millage increase or decrease, and they're not cumulative, they're calculated on each year. So the first year of the increase would be 0.07, whereas in the next 2 years, the amount of decrease, because it's paying for itself, should offset the initial increase. And you can see what the increase is in property tax bill for the citizens, because we've taken the average assessment. Of course, everyone would have a different amount, and calculated what that would be. $291 in year 1, and then money coming back of $1407 in year 3. So, in just broad strokes, the conclusions based on revenue and expenses: year 1's a loss, year 2 and year 3 are modest increases or modest revenue producing. And again, I want to stress conservative assumptions. And next steps: timeline for decision making, RFPs to minimize the soft costs because they are substantial. And then also timing to borrow funds and issue bonds. I spoke with a financial advisor last week, and market is still at near historic lows, about 15 basis points over the lowest point ever. So things are very, very favorable for borrowing at this time. We have talked about not borrowing until at the end of 2020, perhaps into 2021. But there are some things that we might want to consider, such as, well, right now it is very favorable, and with the coming election, we're not sure how that will impact the market as well as other economic situations or happenings. Gentlemen, I just would like, did I miss anything? Thank you.
That was excellent. Thank you. Not only did I understand it, but I think it's very comprehensive. So thank you all for all the work that you've done to put this together and all the research you've done, and Karen providing all the information that makes up this presentation and the assumptions, as you say. I agree with this entire thing. I do. I think it's great, and I think I believe that it is a moneymaker ultimately. I do believe that a gymnasium is something that's necessary for this community and will be well used. And I believe that Doylestown Township should be, with the space and with our parks already, is the entity to provide it. I like it, so that's just me though. But what I looked at your minutes, meeting notes from July and October and January. I don't see a consensus from the PRB voting in favor of this proposal. So you guys are going to have to go back and, clean that up a little bit. Have a meeting, make an official recommendation with a vote, with the majority saying this is what you guys want to do. We need that.
I think they wanted to do this. And I know. I was at the Park and Rec meeting last week.
Can you ask them to do that?
Yes. I want to concur with Barb. That was a fantastic presentation, and I feel like it answered so many questions. So thank you. I love the financial breakdown, and I agree with Barb. I believe that this is going to create a continuous revenue stream for the township, along with bringing well-needed building to the township as well. These are two minor things, but some things for consideration. There's some times here, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. It looks like, I guess those may be the proposed times for the building. I would, and again, I know that it takes human capital to keep things open later, but my kids play in a lot of sports, and sometimes their activities don't even start till 8:30. They do 8:30 to 9:30, they'll have practice. So I would think about some of the times of that. And then the other thing is, as it pertains to the sponsors, I would look to up those numbers a little bit.
We actually did initially have more hours in because having had children, all of us having children, we know that some of the sports don't get over till 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, right.
But again, we wanted to be conservative at
Understood.
everything. And we also have had the discussion numerous times about what to really put in for advertising and banners and that type of thing. We agreed that they're too conservative, but it's better to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that if the commitment on the part of the park board has been in any way ambiguous, I'm sure that can be corrected at our next meeting.
Yeah. I think you have the consensus. It just hasn't been communicated.
We got to cross our T's and dot our I's. Okay. Any other comments from?
Jen has a
I do.
I'm just waiting to.
Okay, no.
Do you need? Is there more that you need to tell us?
No.
No,
Okay.
I think
I just wanted to see if you could define what the soft cost would be. And I know when I was sitting as a liaison, we were talking about maybe getting a percentage of the total cost of the project as what the soft cost might be, to project what the soft cost might be. Was that?
We recently received that information, I believe it was last week, and the estimate was between 15 and 25% of the construction cost. That would seem to me, based on experience, to be a high, but yet again, a conservative estimate.
It's the engineering, architecture.
Construction manager.
supervision, all that sort of thing. You're involved with public schools.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think you can probably touch base with any of the public schools. They'll give you a good idea of what the percentages are. I mean, Central Bucks is went to bid on a addition to Berkeley Elementary School of about 12,000 square feet. So they can give you a good idea of what the soft costs are and will be.
Certainly, I could even quote districts in Montgomery County
Sure,
and give you
absolutely.
definite numbers. But that's what we asked, and those are the figures that came back to us, the percentages. So I wanted to pass those along.
Also, looking at the hours that the gym's going to be open and the facility is going to be open, you have listed somebody just to open and close, that $20 an hour person, as well as a part-time facility supervisor, and that's just the planned programming? Is that what that 1 hour?
Yes,
a week
that
is?
small amount, yes. Whereas the site supervision would be definitely tied to the number of hours that the building was open, plus half an hour before and after.
So the one part that kind of stuck out to me when we did that tour of the other facility was in speaking to the people that ran that facility, was that they were overwhelmed with running the building, the facility. And so the rest of the park and rec programs and the parks themselves and that type of thing had to
Take a back seat.
take a back seat to it. So my concern in having just those two people assigned to this facility, I'm a little concerned that it would be understaffed and take away from the other things that we have going on in the township.
There was $15,000 put in there as contingency. That may or may not help address, the concern that you're pointing out. But it also, we have numbers, so if you wanted to put in $50,000, you can do the calculation across about what it would look like, so.
Nancy, you
Okay.
have anything?
I just want to add, I did go to the Park and Rec meeting to talk about it as well, and what I really love is that it covers, as Karen says, cradle to grave, so there are programs across the board, so when people see a gym, they think kids, but really it was very comprehensive, so I was very impressed, and I'm all in support of a rec center. I think with our community, we really need to provide a healthy lifestyle opportunities. And I think they did a beautiful job designing it with the bike path to it. So I'm really excited about it.
Dan, you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I have a few points. First, like everyone else said, thank you so much for the hard work and putting this in something that I can understand without sitting on spreadsheets myself, driving myself insane. I had a couple questions. One, the original Parks and Rec building was estimated at $3 million. You're going with $4 million for this. What's exactly driving that number?
Gymnasium.
Yeah.
Mostly the gymnasium?
Yeah. And one of the things that we might want to consider is that $3 million number, half of which was just site work and moving dirt and building retaining walls. That's one of the things that we all found so offensive about the cost of that building. But it wasn't really going to generate any more revenue than just the user fees. There wasn't what we might term, advisedly perhaps, a cash cow to generate rental income like the gymnasium. That's why we think that the addition of the gymnasium to the program is huge, both in terms of its value to the community and in terms of the ability of the building to pay most of its own freight eventually.
I would actually, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I would actually say that I think you're being conservative with how quickly that this is going to fill up.
I agree.
It's much
Yeah,
easier
100%.
to walk away after 5 years as heroes than it is to be. So yes, I think that you're right. The revenues are probably being understated, and perhaps some of the costs too. That we may discover that we'll need more personnel to make this a success. But with that success is going to just come more revenues to help pay for it. So I think it will balance out.
I think, and I appreciate the point about the gymnasium, but coming to the $4 million, how did we assess what facilities we're going to have in this building to arrive at that number exactly? Because my understanding is we're still kind of in flux about what will actually be in the building.
We are in flux. The Park and Recreation Board undertook on its own to sort of develop what might be termed in the construction industry or the design industry a schematic design for the building. And so we looked at our needs and we developed sort of a preliminary floor plan of what we might need in terms of a large program room and a conference room and a kitchen for various events and other office spaces. We left a second floor space unprogrammed so that if we were inspired as we went through the formal design process to add more space up there, we have room. That's really our expansion space for park and recreation programs. So we think that the bones that we created initially are fairly versatile, but I think that the real answer to your question will come about once the township hires a design professional to begin more conversations about the programs that the township wants to have in the building and what kind of space it will need. So the 12,000 square foot building might end up being 13,000, might be 12,500, might be 11,500. Just really depends on where it lands after the detailed program analysis and architectural work is commenced. I'm sorry if that was a little long-winded, but did I answer your question?
Yeah,
Okay.
that helps. These should be quicker, I hope. For the naming rights for the gym, is that a commonplace practice in the other gymnasiums you explored during this?
It is not uncommon. I don't know that they all have a name. I don't know that all of the various municipalities that we looked at even have a policy for naming rights. We luckily have we've crossed that bridge. We figured that out.
We like to sell our buildings, and we'll, if Doylestown Health wants to put their name on our building, we'll be happy to do that for several hundred thousands of dollars. Oh, are they here?
And my last question is, with the summer camp figures that you were looking at, what's driving those numbers? Is that from our previous summer camp program that we held, or is this comparison of other municipalities and their summer camps currently active?
Actually, it's from our previous, did you?
Go ahead, Karen.
Oh, come on up.
Come up or I'll repeat what you say.
More so, good evening. More so than previous, although I looked at, it's been years since we've run that, so I spoke with several of my colleagues and got comparative information relative to existing summer programs and pulled that together.
Don't go far from that mic, just in case you haven't.
I'm done.
If you don't know, that was Karen Sweeney, Director of Parks and Rec. You have anything
That's all
else?
I had.
Okay.
And just to reemphasize how conservative, when Joe and Karen sat down and looked at programming, the amount for year one, or the potential, was thought to be, or calculated at about $500,000. So that's with the program being, well underway. Again, we've been very conservative in our calculations. And one other thing, as we always look ahead and the changes in what goes on with activities for adults and students, children, there's, I don't know if any of you are familiar yet with e-gaming. And there could e-gaming.
Oh, no.
So, and it's a competitive. You might think that it happens with people just playing on their own devices one-on-one. Oh no, they're starting to get involved and renting space so that it becomes a spectator sport. Mm-hmm. School districts are starting to put together clubs for that. I don't know and it's just another frontier and another way.
Cutting edge,
to
Doylestown Township. Cutting edge.
We could have pep rallies
So, anyway,
in the gym.
Honestly,
not
Delaware
there yet.
Valley
That's
has
not
it.
included, but
Okay.
I would just like to note that something like e-gaming is one of those things that would be discussed during the formal design process. We may
Go sit down.
decide that we need a big projector and screen in the gymnasium part, just so that we can hold major events which have potential to be good revenue generators. So those are the kinds of things that we'll think about as we go through that process.
An additional question. Would the facility be, would it be appropriate for an emergency situation? Like, could we have it fit out so that we can provide shelter?
We have discussed that, and it wasn't really part of our formal presentation, but it's an easy thing to do. I think that mostly it just involves adding a generator so that it can be a good emergency shelter. So to that extent, as long as the costs are within that very modest realm, I don't see why not. And I know that there are members of the community who have expressed an interest in seeing that happen too. So I think that's an easy one. As long as whatever formal requirements there may be for an emergency shelter don't escalate the cost to a point where it becomes impractical.
Good question. Does anything else? Anybody out there have a question? I don't see any hands up.
Joe just reminded me that I should have spoke about the parking, the number of parking spaces, which would also be beneficial to the facility as well. Included in that was the cost for 59, if I remember, 59.
59 new spaces?
Yeah, spaces.
Okay, thank you.
I think there's a question, Barb, out in the...
Yes, please. You have to identify yourself.
Good evening. I'm Karen Forbes. I was wondering if there would be any increase in liability, and if you're going to have groups working with children, if there's going to be some kind of screening process for
we have those rules.
Okay, so
and
that would
those
just be
laws in
applied to
place,
the...
And we have lots of insurance.
Okay.
And we'll get more.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
Don't forget, we've had an indoor space for quite some time, so it's not that we're rookies at this. We're just being able to expand into some things we haven't been able to do before.
Those are good concerns.
Last week there was an article about the screens for Boy Scouts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The laws have changed since then, yes. We're up on speed. Thank you. It's a good question. Okay, you need to know from us now where you guys should go, right?
Yes, please.
Yes, I think the chair will entertain a motion to authorize the exploration of the.
Are you waiting for the park board vote or not? Because there's a mention to that.
Yeah, I probably should, but once we get the park board vote, can we have authorization tonight to go ahead with exploring the RFPs to get the engineering and so on costs established?
I'll make that motion.
Subject to
the board.
Yes. Subject to any ambiguity on the part of the park board being
Correct.
satisfied to the Board of Supervisors.
But this is a recommendation.
Okay.
Thank
Yes.
you.
I'll second that.
Okay. I'm calling the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's 5-0. And what else do you need? I think my goal, I said at the budget meeting, was to see a lot of this underway this year. So however we get there, that's the best. And I think we should also explore the finance end of it while we still have the opportunity to take advantage of these rates.
You have 3 years to spend the borrowing, so it's not like you have to spend it right away. So if the market's good, you can bank it while you're waiting.
Brenda?
Excuse me. Ways and Means will certainly, with the help of administration, talk with our financial advisor. There's a lot to be said if we want to put it off just a few months, maybe going out in the summer and then settling sometime, in late summer.
We'll take your recommendation.
So
when you guys come up on
we will be consulting and talking and meeting tomorrow night, as a matter of fact.
Okay. All right, anything else you need from us?
In the interest of not continuing the ambiguity that apparently was started on the park board, would it be reasonable to interpret your vote this evening to authorize staff to actually issue RFPs for design professionals, architectural and engineering
Yes.
to begin the process?
Yes. Right? That's what we're doing, right?
Pending the recommendation of the park board.
Thank you, Mr. Gard.
Anything else you need from us right now?
You can't vote here because it's not your public meeting.
Okay.
Anything else you need from us right now?
No, I think that if there are no other questions from the residents, I think I'll conclude. And
Thank you. And thank you again, all of you.
Yeah, great job.
This is so much good work.
I'd like to thank the Board of Supervisors for your support. It means a lot to us. Thank you.
You got it. All right, so what else is next?
Visitors.
Visitors or public comment? Any others? No? Announcements. Next meeting of this board is Tuesday, February 4th at 5. Movies, ski tickets, and the Philadelphia Flower Show. Our tickets are available at the township at discounted prices. Get them now. For more information, contact our administrative offices or go online to doylestownrec.com. Christmas tree drop-off. We're still taking dead trees. Can be dropped off the New Britain entrance to Central Park until January 31st. Doylestown Township Park and Recreation, in partnership with Premier World Discovery, is offering 2 trips in 2020. Paris in the spring, the Burgundy and Provence River Cruise, that's in April, and then Rome, Country Roads of Tuscany, that's in September. Contact our offices for more information. Next item on the agenda is the reorganization minutes from January 6, 2020. Everyone had the opportunity to read the reorganization minutes from that day? Is there, are any corrections or changes? Hearing or seeing none, is there a motion to approve them?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes are approved unanimously. Correspondence from the Central Bucks Emergency Medical Services, a letter from Mr. Pressler to Ms. Mason, request for appointees. Thoughts?
I'm happy to attend. I've gone to these meetings that they've held in the past, and if someone wants to be an alternate, typically they're during the daytime when he's had them at the facility, but they're very concerned about some pending legislation as he outlines in his.
Would Rick Shea be an alternate person for that, or?
Either Rick or maybe the chief might be an alternate, or someone from.
Chief, or maybe someone from your department?
But I think they're looking for elected officials, really, is what he's
Oh.
hoping to have. It's really, I mean, we're certainly,
Does anyone care to serve as an alternate for the EMS services? I don't want to just jump on it.
What's the date?
they don't have a date or anything set up at this point in time.
Well, I'll put up for that. I'm volunteer alternate.
There you go. All right, we don't need any formal vote on that, right? Done. Okay. Thank you, Jen.
Sure.
Thank you, Stephanie. All right, next item on the agenda, reports from the solicitor.
I have nothing to report tonight, Madam Chairperson.
Chief?
Nothing to report.
Township engineer is not here, so he's not going to report on anything. Stephanie?
I have nothing at this time.
Director of operations is not here, so he's not reporting, although there is a memo from.
There is, yes. He has one item. He apologizes for not being here, but we have a grant, an Arley grant, that will provide us the traffic signal improvements for rapid flashing beacons at Southeastern Road and Turk, and also at Alms House and Turk, between the two parks. And that's being taken care of by the grant, but we do have to provide PennDOT with the appropriate forms and resolutions there, and would ask the board's authorization for execution of those documents and approvals to submit them.
Okay, you heard the recommendation. Is there a motion to approve the application for the traffic signal TE 160 form for the Southeastern Road and Turk Park Roads, Alms House Road and Turk Park Road rectangular rapid flashing beacons?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. What did I just say?
I don't know.
Is there a second? What I just said?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. It's 5-0. All right, training requests. Can we? Supervisors. I always forget you guys. Dan, let's start with you because I forgot you last time.
I appreciate that. Not forgetting, the remembering. I just want to take a moment on behalf of the EAC to acknowledge one of our members, Don Richardson, who passed away earlier this month. Don was a longtime member of our Environmental Advisory Council and a fantastic resource for us to have. A couple months ago, I learned, while we were discussing what to do about the plantings for this new building outside, that Don, who's always sat there and doesn't say much, is actually a world-class, award-winning designer for landscape architecture. So we were very lucky to have him volunteer his time to help with our gardens and our work here in Doylestown. And I also want to take a moment to thank our road crews for being out this weekend and cleaning up all the snow during the late hours of the night.
Right?
Two quick updates on some committees. First, I had my first meeting with Park and Rec, and how exciting that it turned into this presentation tonight, and exciting stuff on the way with them. But I think you guys kind of have the update with Park and Rec. Kids Castle, couple things on that. The upgrades to Kids Castle were a huge success. There's still one more fixture that's going to be put in, a 2 to 5 year old, I guess they call it a tot structure. So that's coming, but the playground has been continually packed. People complaining that it's too packed, which is awesome, right? That's what we want. And singing praises on social media about how great the playground is. And the other thing that Joe Salvati, who is the chair of the Kids Castle Committee, he planned a Santa at Kids Castle, and hundreds of kids came out. So They had free donuts, pictures, music, and it was such a cool community event. And, you know, singing praises to Joe Salvati. He planned that, put that together, and we definitely talked about that becoming a annual event for sure. So all good stuff.
Thank you. Jen, you have anything?
I had the pleasure of meeting with the Pension Advisory Committee for the first time as their liaison. I don't have any technical updates, but I want to say we are incredibly lucky to have the skill that we do in so many of our committees, and the Pension Advisory Committee is not an exception to that. And I look forward to working with them in the future and look forward to the Ways and Means Committee some more.
Thank you. Hi. Yes. I stopped in a lot of committees, mine particularly TAB. Again, I'm going to mirror what Jen said, incredible amount of talent and volunteers and long-term volunteers in these committees. TAB's looking to figure out what that digital footprint looks like, creating templates and hoping that each of the other committees can showcase what they're doing, what they're offering in the communities. I think they're trying to narrow that down and figure out how to harness all the great things that Doylestown does in it from a digital media perspective. The other one I met with was at the dog park. I know they're in the process of changing out the key fob system, so it's going to be sort of tricky, but great group, and I got a dog so I could be part of the group, so that worked out really well. So yeah, Park and Rec, I did stop in just because I wanted to learn more about the building, and very impressed with all the work that everyone put in, so thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody. I'm just going to pass on my list in the interest of moving along here. Training requests from Karen Sweeney and Rick Shea. Can we just pass on them in their entirety?
We may do that.
We need a motion?
Yes, please.
I'll make the motion for the training request, all three of them.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Does anyone need to discuss any one of them? This is all good work. It's all budgeted. All right, calling the question. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Keystone Municipal Service Agreement. These folks have been doing our super zoning stuff for a couple of years now. Everyone had the opportunity to review that service agreement. Are there any questions? Is there a motion to approve them?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, letter from Mr. Matacola on the Pebble Ridge Woodridge Sewer Project, and he's made an application for payment number 8 to the Bucks County Water Sewer Authority.
Yes, in our subcommittee, Dan was there, met, Bob was there, and Colleen, 2 other members who serve on that little subcommittee, informal committee.
Are there any questions or issues about it? Good. Okay, is there a motion to approve the payment?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Dan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then not finally, Resolution 2186 for professional services, letter from Mr. Johnston to Stephanie regarding the traffic engineering services, scheduling of hourly rates.
Yeah, unfortunately, firm was appointed in the reorg. Unfortunately, their fees got delayed in coming to us, and so we need you to approve their fees at this time. So they should have been in the original resolution, but we noted afterwards they were MIA.
So the draft resolution 2186 is fixing that problem?
Yes, it does.
All right, is there a motion to approve these services, Gilmore and Associates with these, Pannoni with these, sorry, I had the wrong services in my hand, Pannoni with their fee schedule?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, now Designer House, special event fee waiver request. We have seen, for the folks that haven't been here before, we have seen these waiver requests before. This is one that we always support. This is a good cause. Doylestown Hospital, Doylestown Health is our entity. It exists in Doylestown Township, so we always want to support what we do with the hospital. So I would appreciate a motion moving or waiving these event permits requests.
I'll make the.
Go ahead.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anything else? Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Those are the ladies from, well, not the ladies from, The VIA reps. Thank you for coming. Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to the next item, request for the hookup to public sewers from 1960 Southeastern Road. This looks like a sad situation. Can we approve this? Is there a motion to approve the hookup?
I'll make the motion to approve it, yeah.
Sooner than later, right?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's it, pretty much, except for the treasurer's report. It was not available for the server. It became available? No, not available?
Not available, it wasn't, they were still having some problems.
I'm just going to pass on and we'll table it till the next meeting.
Yes.
We do have a bills list, however. I do, anyway. I have a copy of the bills list.
I think the bills list was circulated.
Yes, the bills list was included.
Is there a motion to approve the bills list?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, again, we're next meeting on February 4th at 5. Movie, ski, and Philadelphia Flower Show tickets are available at the township through our administrative offices or doylestownrec.com. Christmas tree drop-off until January 31st at the New Britain entrance to Central Park. Doylestown Township is partnering with Premier World Discovery for the 2 trips, one to Paris in April in Paris. Oh my God, I just got that. And then Rome in September. So get set up with our administrative offices for brochures and highlights and inclusions. Okay, seeing no other business, we're adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.